I'm now off to Victoria to meet Charlie, the owner of Ceek Marketing.
Charlie, how are you?
Good, very well. Good to see you. Looking very smart as usual.
I've tried.
I know, I haven't for once. We're usually, well, you're always smarter than me, but we're usually the smartest guys in the room.
Well, I like to. We've got some new partners now that are looking after us for Posh Cockney TV. So
Nice.
I'm happy to come and rock out this new swagger for you. But how are things? Are you being well?
Yeah, good. Back in the office, which is great. It's been stressful, but exciting.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's all kicking off now. Back in the groove.
We spoke a lot during lockdown, and you and your company have just gone crazy over the last couple of months. I mean, tell us how that's happened.
Threefold. So number one, there was the initial kind of shock when lockdown went into place. I mean, we've got such a high, at the time it was seen as a hospitality exposure,
Yeah.
And we lost a lot of business, a lot of restaurants. And when I say lost, it was more a case of we've got such good relationships with our clients, very long term, and it was just kind of a case of, okay, what's going to happen? We don't know. We're going to have to put pause on these campaigns,
Yeah.
and as I'm sure it was for everyone. And we have been working so hard to on our own internal SEO, for example, where we rank on Google. Our internal process is hiring quite aggressively, and it just was like a solar eclipse, and it kind of all aligned, where we had this very bad day, first day when it was announced, and then almost every day since then it's just been either new clients, a lot of new clients, or existing clients coming back on, which is also fantastic. So little things like we now rank number one for social media agency London, for example. We're number one for hospitality marketing agency, but obviously we're very much just on the digital side. Mm-hmm. So when lockdown came into play, all there was digital. Yeah. So we had a number of clients that were pivoting to delivery, third parties. So we've been partnering up with the platforms themselves to kind of just see how we can actually help the businesses. And that was definitely the initial outlook was, okay, how can we just help? Because we need this industry. We're passionate about this industry. Yeah. And that was the initial approach. But then actually, if you start out with that focus, as I know you guys do as well, it does come back commercially. So I think that's how we've found it, really. But essentially, almost doubled in size, which we didn't even know was possible, and more than doubled actually. But funny enough, that it still feels more local. So it's not expanded necessarily globally. It's very much kind of more local businesses across the UK. And I'm just so shocked at how resilient the hospitality sector is.
Sure. Right.
Do you find that with people you speak to day to day?
Yes and no. I mean, there's still massive uncertainty, isn't there? We're just in the middle of Eat Out to Help Out.
Yeah.
So that we're still seeing how that's going for the industry. Some people are obviously doing well, some people aren't. Mm-hmm. I mean, how many of your clients have taken up on that?
Yeah. So what we've done is you've obviously got people that are on the scheme. Great, and we're definitely. I mean, we can talk, I don't know how long we've got, but how people are utilising that and what we're seeing that's working. But essentially, Eat Out to Help Out, I think it's more of a mindset shift of, okay, what can we do to incite new business and to drive people back that are maybe past customers or live locally or whatever the reason is, just to drive revenue essentially. Yeah. But what we've actually seen is we picked up a client, fishtoyourdoor.com.
I saw that.
Is what it is.
Yeah.
Order fish to your door. They actually were suppliers to the hospitality industry, one of the biggest, family-run business, and they've pivoted into a direct-to-consumer model in addition.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're seeing their clients come back online from a B2B standpoint, and this B2C model is just booming. Mm-hmm. So with them, it's not Eat Out to Help Out, it's stay home, save cash. And they're doing all these amazing discounts on fish for that, but actually for the whole month. Right. So what we're actually saying to our clients is use this as a mindset shift. Don't just use it to, don't see it as, okay, between these days, we're giving this discount and it is what it is. It's like, okay, what more can you do? Can you extend it? Can you instill, move into kind of embedding loyalty schemes that layer on top of that initial offer? And I think everything Rishi's done to date has been definitely positive steps. And I think, yes, the lack of information is stressful and the unknown is stressful, but everyone's in the same boat. And it's how do you react, and I do think there are some, luckily our clients are very bullish and want to still exist. I think some people have not taken it that way, and it's hard. I'm not looking down on anyone if they do throw in the towel, but that certainly has allowed for, in some instances, slightly less competition. So you can actually acquire new customers. And also retain older customers or previous customers. So, I mean, trend-wise, eat out to help out is one thing, but you're looking at, wider hospitality industry. You've got this staycation boom. So we're doing all of these kind of provincial country houses and smaller boutique hotels that never really were looking at a marketing agency before, but now they're saying, how do we reach a wider audience? So it's just it's an amazing time as a marketer to be in the market, because you're testing new ways, you're looking at new platforms, you're forced to really hustle out traffic. Just an exciting time.
Well, we're friends anyway, but I love seeing that you and your company grow. What is next for Ceek?
Yeah, so initially it was bolstering the services we had. So the biggest growth's been on the paid acquisition side. So we've hired, actually, funnily enough, an ex-Deliveroo account manager. She's there for a few years. She's come in, so she's got that knowledge of the kind of algorithmic side of Deliveroo, building that in to marry with kind of paid campaigns. So how can we drive footfall from, for dark kitchens maybe that are launching. We've got a few brands that are launching multiple kitchens across London, Brighton. So many little mini trends that are emerging, which is just, again, great time to be a marketer. Next stage, keep building the team, keep growing the team. We're really building. My hometown's Brighton, so we've had an office there now for, I think, the best part of a year. But now it's a case of, okay, can we get to, say, 20 staff in that location? Building our development capability as well. We seem to be, although we usually focus on social media, SEO, kind of Google on the paid and organic side, we're now seeing that restaurants coming to us saying, hey, we just want a turnkey solution. We're starting this brand. Maybe we had, for example, we've got a great client of ours that's just launched in Battersea. So vegan burger brand, tested it, launched down in Brighton. They've been the #1 product on delivery every Saturday. Fantastic. They're now coming to London. They're saying, actually, how can we utilize this space? We're also going to have a Mexican kind of genre in the same kitchen, but marketed in very different ways. And they're kind of yin and yang in terms of the branding. One's kind of like pink, very fluffy. The other one's kind of, skulls and a bit naughty. So that's an interesting brand as well. But I think, in terms of our growth, it's location expansion. So our Manchester presence is slightly growing because we've only really got 1 or 2 people that are there regularly. Years ago, actually, we launched Peter Street Kitchen for Radisson back in 2018 there, and we've not really had a big launch since. We did have one planned, but obviously got pushed back. As I know, a lot of stuff, we've got, we're always in discussion about the stuff that's being pushed back. But I think now people are starting to say, hey, do you know what? We're not just going to do what we said we were going to do in lockdown. We're going to go even bigger because, I don't know whether people have been bored or whether but the mindset has definitely changed.
Charlie, at the moment, you've got companies like Unilever, Coca-Cola, and most recently Diageo, huge in the hospitality industry, cutting all their ad spend on Facebook. What would be your opinion on that?
That is the golden question. So is there a silver bullet in ad spend for hospitality businesses or any business in that for that matter? Now, it's obviously a multifaceted question. So, okay, what industry is it? Where are they based? So there's geographical, there's what product or service or what are they pushing, or cuisine type. So there's so many factors, but overall, when these big brands are pulling their spend, which did happen from the major platforms, actually what I think the hospitality industry lacks specifically is actually wider platform knowledge. So it's not just should we pull our spend, it's where should we put that spend. So Facebook, obviously, the cost of acquisition through lockdown and even now, it's so cheap, it's so undervalued.
Yeah.
And you can drive bookings at a fraction of the cost than you could this time last year. So should you pull your spend? Throughout our client base, there's very few industries where we're saying we need to ease back.
Yeah.
However, if we do ease back on a platform, so you've got the Facebook and Instagram database, there's other databases. You can be targeting people on Pinterest, you can be targeting people on LinkedIn. Google has so many different. There's going to be a new feature where they're called web stories.
Right.
No one will have even seen them yet, but it's essentially an Instagram story on Google. You click it and it's a full page, video. I'm hoping to see you and I on a web story on the Posh Cockney site soon. But cost of acquisition is lower than ever. So if the budget is available, acquire those customers now. Don't pay for it when it's Christmas and everyone's stepping back on the gas. I just feel now's the time to test. And even if something's working for you, you should always be trying other platforms, because these companies are competing for the world's ad spend.
Of course.
And where people place that budget is crucial. So I think my main advice to a hospitality business is don't discount what would seem as a tier 2 platform.
Yeah.
Don't think that Facebook's your only option or Google's your only option. There are other platforms and they will give you more value. You can speak to them, and say, hey, look, we're looking at moving our ad spend across, just like you would barter someone when you're buying a house or a car. It's exactly the same thing. So really, it's all about how much value can you get. And if you're working with an agency, the key thing is to make sure you've got that attribution, that tracking.
Yeah.
So if you're going to spend £1, how many did you get back?
Of course.
And it's not always that direct. There's brand growth, community growth, indirect benefits of spending that money. But essentially, if you're looking at a restaurant, really it's just covers, spend per head. So what's the quality of the customer that comes through Instagram via that ad campaign? Do they spend more than someone that comes through Open Table? Maybe not. But if you've got that data and you can sit down and have frank conversations, and I think that's one of the things that I respect about your company is you've got relationships with people where you can actually be in it together.
Yeah.
So you're saying, look, we're the experts. We know how to spend your money in the best way, but let's feel uncomfortable about this together, test it together, because if you're successful, you're going to be able to pay us more in fees, and then everyone wins. And I just all the time, I just see people wasting money because they don't know what they're trying to achieve, and they're also, quite honestly, sometimes just looking what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
But actually, maybe you should look what everyone else is doing and do something completely different, because that's where the lower cost of acquisition is.
Charlie, my final question, let's talk about TikTok. How important is TikTok to a business right now?
Good question. So in the media all the time, with what's going on with the US, with India, etc. I mean, it's a fantastic platform. There's no, similar to Pinterest, TikTok, no correlation between the amount of followers you have and the amount of exposure you can get. So very important would be my answer. Now, don't get me wrong, there's fundamentals that businesses need to look at before they start looking at a new channel. So, I'd start with getting your opening hours right on Google My Business before you start a TikTok campaign.
The basics, and
I see that quite often. People call us up saying, "Hey, we want to smash TikTok." It's like, well, actually, your website link is broken. Maybe start with that. But TikTok specifically, we've been bullish on TikTok since day one. You will see other platforms. Instagram have announced their version of TikTok on the platform, and they're taking advantage of the political uncertainty. But again, is it a lower cost of acquisition? Yes. Are TikTok trying to take that share of wallet from advertisers? Yes. So you are going to get opportunities on the platform. I'd say the low barrier of entry to work with TikTok and start to learn it for a brand is work with content creators that are already on the platform. So typical model of influencer marketing that you see with Facebook and Instagram. I've had many conversations, especially in the hospitality business, where people are questioning the value of hospitality, of influencer marketing. We've moved the needle drastically for many brands over the last month, leveraging that influencer power. And again, work with the content creators, because they know the platform. That is what they do day in, day out. Rather than you having to dream up the campaign, shoot it, and then deliver it in the right way, put it on them. And yes, over time, your in-house team or your agency will learn how you can leverage your brand with TikTok as a platform. But if you start with the creators, they know what works, they know their audience, and if they resonate with your brand and genuinely would be the type of consumer that would be interacting with you day to day, that's the best place to start. But it's an important platform. I think what people need to understand is TikTok has after lockdown, it's not just a Gen Z audience, even though that's going to be where all the spending power is anyway. So just putting that fact into play, it needs to have serious focus. And we're going to be looking it's going to be over 1 billion users, daily active users, even when this all kind of the dust settles this year. So it's prominent, especially for global brands, even more prominent. But here in the UK, I'd argue that it's a no-brainer to start creating content that could at least be repositioned for that platform. Because you've got Instagram stories, web stories from Google, which is something new. You've got stories on Facebook. It's vertical video. That is essentially what it is, but in a bite-sized format. But my point, that Gen Z audience has expanded. My dad watches TikTok because it was crazy. There's an older. Not just older, but a broader demographic that are now engaged with that platform, because it's just pick up and go, isn't it? It's easy use. And if you look at the stats, people are spending more time on TikTok per day than any other app. So if someone downloads TikTok, I don't know why, and that's a whole nother conversation if it's good for society or not. But it's more addictive. People visit the app more times a day on average. So key platform. There's a lot of uncertainty around it. I can understand as well why a brand would be hesitant, because you feel there's this feeling of lack of control when you do something on TikTok, and you need to be prepared that video can get millions of views. But again, I just think with platforms, we have an omni-channel approach. I say this over and over again. We've got our kind of omni-channel approach as an agency, and you've got to be in it to win it. You cannot go viral on TikTok unless you do a video on TikTok. Of course. You can't acquire a customer from Pinterest unless you have a Pinterest account. So if you can, and the fundamentals are there, create content cross-platform, and it's an exciting time to be on those platforms, I feel. When are we going to see yourself, Liam, on TikTok? Are you gonna be starting a TikTok?
We've actually been recording it right now, and then we're going to turn it into some sort of meme at the end of this. So, Charlie, I love speaking to you. We know we get on really well. We're going to do lots of work for the rest of this year. Funny that you're all about omni-channel. We're all about omnipresence at Posh Cockney. So
love it.
Let's do lots more together. Thank you
Pleasure.
very much for your time.
Cheers.